Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to be discussing my theories on what I think will occur in the 90-minute finale of The Walking Dead Season 6. Well, I should say in the 60-something minute finale because of all the shitty commercials that they're going to be showing during it. But anyways, let's get into what I think shall happen in Episode 16. Now, be warned, there are going to be spoilers from episode 15 in this video because I read some leaked info on what happens in it. So if you don't want to know any of that and be surprised on Sunday, March 27th when it actually airs, hit that X right now. Alright, with that out the way, here we go. So in episode 15, Morgan goes out looking for Carol, and I'm assuming he finds a horse along the way to aid him on his journey. But I doubt he's going to be finding Carol in this episode. I don't think he's going to find her until the finale. Daryl also goes out, but not to find Carol, instead to find Dwight and avenge the death of Denise because he feels responsible for her death by letting Dwight live in episode 6. Now while on the hunt, Glenn, Michonne, and Rosita go out looking for him, and they manage to find him. They talk him into heading back to Alexandria, but events transpire and Glenn and Michonne end up getting captured by Dwight and the Saviors. Daryl tries to sneak up and save them, but Dwight shows up behind Daryl with a gun to his back. Daryl tries to turn around to knock the gun out of his hands, but ends up getting shot in the process, and the episode most likely ends on that cliffhanger, making everyone believe that Daryl has been killed. Now, let's jump into my finale predictions. So, Dwight shoots Daryl at the end of episode 15, most likely in the shoulder or side, and he drops to the ground. Dwight thinks he's dead, so he steals Daryl's crossbow once again, takes Rosita, Michonne, and Glenn to the gates of Alexandria, calling out to Rick and everybody to let him in. But instead of letting him in, Rick and the Alexandrians start taking out Dwight's men, saving Glenn, Michonne, and Rosita, and they will either capture Dwight and put him in the cell that Morgan built, or he will get away again like he did at the end of episode 14. Not sure how that will play out. Now, I have a feeling some of the Alexandrians may get killed during this shootout. Maybe Sasha, since her and Abraham are finally a couple. Maybe Tobin, because of his relationship with Carol, maybe Spencer because of his crush on Rosita, or maybe one of the others who aren't that well known. Or they might luck up and not lose anybody again like they did on the episode 12 Savior Base raid, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But I'm sure it'll switch over to Morgan at some point on his horse, and he'll find Carol. He'll try to talk her into coming back to Alexandria, and he might be able to convince her to do so because he is the reason she's been dealing with her moral dilemma and doesn't want to kill anymore in the first place. Now, since Michael Rooker is said to be in the cast of the finale, I'm assuming it's going to show Daryl lying on the ground with a gunshot wound, hallucinating his brother just like he did in the season 2 episode called Chupacabra when he got stabbed by one of his own crossbow bolts. I think him mentioning his brother to Denise in episode 14 kind of foreshadowed that. I'm also assuming he's going to get up after his brother talks shit to him and head back to Alexandria by himself, or either Rick and a few others will go and get him, bring him back to the infirmary, and he'll be put in the same bed Eugene was at the end of episode 14 and be given antibiotics so he can recover. But those antibiotics aren't going to be able to really heal the wound or pull a bullet out or whatever needs to be done. So right then is when Rick and everybody realizes they fucked up, they need help. And since Denise is dead, and she was the closest thing to a doctor that Alexandria had, they decide to go to the hilltop to get Daryl the proper medical attention he needs, and to get reinforcements to take on the Saviors. But just like in the comics, I think since they don't have Jesus as their navigator, they get lost, start to panic, and decide to pull over until the sun comes up. So Michonne will take first watch, and Rick attempts to take second watch, but that's when the Saviors show up, and they call Negan in, and Negan shows up, tells the Saviors to line up Rick and his group. Negan will have a nice speech about how they fucked up, killed a lot of his men, and how they have to pay for it. Negan will then hopefully do the any, mini, mighty, mo, to select the major character who gets their head bashed in with Lucille. Now, this is the part that is the hardest to make a prediction on because we don't know who exactly will be riding with Rick up to the hilltop. It won't be Morgan or Carol because Morgan is going to be out looking for Carol, so they are most likely going to be safe from Lucille's wrath. I think it will be Rick, Michonne, Carl, Glenn, Maggie, maybe Abraham, Daryl because they'd be taking him to get fixed up by the Hilltop doctor, Heath if him and Tara come back from their supply run, which is not likely. I don't think we'll probably see them again until season 7, but I could be wrong. And maybe Tobin, Spencer, or Rosita. Could honestly be any of them. Now, Negan has to kill a major character, though, to really push the story in a different direction and change how Rick and everybody lives from now on. So my bet's on either Daryl or Glenn. Could be Maggie also, but I think they're setting her story arc up to be a leader at the hilltop, plus she's Prego. Plus, Negan doesn't really kill women, nor does he rape them. We know that he will kill teenagers, though, because they learned that Negan killed a 16-year-old at Hilltop, so Carl could be the one. Not likely since he's already been shot twice in the series and lost his eye. I don't think they would be that dickish enough to take him out, especially since in the comics, Negan ends up kind of liking Carl, and they have a not-so-mutual bond with one another. So let's just go with the Daryl or Glenn getting it. Some of the reasons I see Daryl getting it is because he's reaching that breaking point where he doesn't really seem to care about his own well-being anymore. And like I said, since he'd be shot and on the verge of death anyway, he might sacrifice himself to save the rest. Plus, Beth is said to be in the finale, and they had a special bond with each other. After she was killed in the mid-season finale of, season 5, Daryl lost it, shot the cop lady in the head, and was beyond devastated. Now, I think it makes sense that he'd hallucinate her singing to him after the first swing of Lucille before Negan completely shatters and splatters his brain matter. Also, the fact that Chris Hardwick said Norman Reedus was going to be on the season finale of The Talking Dead, along with Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple, adds to the Daryl prediction. Now, some of the reasons I see Glenn getting it is because he meets Lucille in the comics, and it really changes Maggie's state of mind and pushes her character to a whole nother level. Another reason is the fact that he has had so many close calls throughout the series. I think he's probably come close to death more than any other major character in the show. The showrunners even made us believe he was dead for 3 whole episodes before it was revealed that he actually survived, which was a dick move on their part, but maybe they did it to lighten the blow a little if he really does get killed by Negan because everybody's already let out their sadness and mourned him earlier in the season. Who knows? Another reason I think Glenn is getting it is because of all the foreshadowing. Season 4, he found a bat. Season 5, he almost took a bat to the back of the head. And in Season 6, he's seen the photos of Negan's victims who had their heads bashed in with a bat. If they did all that foreshadowing for no reason, that'd be a waste in my opinion, but the writers of the show do love to fuck with your minds and surprise us. Like Denise getting Abraham's comic death. Unless you read the spoilers before the episode aired, you most likely would have expected Abe to get it, but they flipped it around on us. So honestly, we can predict who gets Lucille all we want, but in the end, the writers could have someone who doesn't even cross our minds die at the hands of Negan. We shall have to just wait till April 3rd to find out for ourselves. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts and predictions below, and see you guys next time. Keep kicking ass, motherfuckers!